Hello and welcome. Today we are learning about scientific notation. The reason why we are learning about it is to make your life easier. What it does is it takes very large numbers or very small numbers and it shortens them so it's easier to put into a calculator, to write it on a paper, and to calculate. So let's take a look. You see here at the bottom we have this very large number. It's 6,241 quadrillion. That's how many electrons cross that wire in 1 second when there's 1 amp going through. But don't worry about that, just take a look at the number. That number is very bulky, a little bit intimidating, so we want to shorten it. We're going to shorten it using scientific notation. We do that, the number looks like this. 6.241 times 10 to the 18th. This number I can relax about. I'm not going to make as many mistakes putting it from the paper to the calculator, and it's a lot less intimidating. But how did we do it? The way we do this is the first thing you want to do is count how many numbers there are to the left of the decimal. In this case, it happens to be 18. You start from the 0 all the way on the right, and you go all the way to the 2, leaving the 6 alone. If we count that, you see that there's 18 spots that we had to move the decimal. That 18 is going to be the exponent when we write it in scientific notation. A few other things. We want to get rid of all of those trailing zeros, but keep any numbers. Okay, so we want to keep the 6, 2, 4, and 1, making sure to keep the 6 in the ones place. And this 18, remember, we found on that previous slide. That's how many times we had to move the decimal place to the left. Now, what happens when we have to change the number that is very small? A very large decimal number where we have to move the decimals from the left to the right. A number that might look like this. 0.0000000000529 can change to 5.29 times 10 to the negative 11th. Now you guys might be looking a little like this, but it's alright. It's quite simple. It's going to be the same process that we did before. What we're going to do is we're going to count how many times we've moved that decimal place over to the right. And you see here we moved it 11 times. We want to put the decimal in front of the 5 because we still want to keep the 5 in the ones place. We drop all those leading zeros and we want to keep the numbers 5, 2, and 9. So we count it up. We have 11, so that's going to be our exponent. But since we are moving it to the right and it's a small number, we're going to put a negative sign to show that we are dealing with a decimal. Again, we want to keep those non-zero values, 5, 2, 9. Keep the 5 in the ones place. And that negative 11 came from how many times we moved. Well guys, thank you again for listening. I hope you learned it. If you have any questions, feel free to ask any of your teachers. We'd be more than happy to help you out. See you tomorrow in class.